Hi class, my name is Liliana Hernandez and I am with the course Psychology Senior Seminar. For this assignment, PowerPoint, I chose to talk about adolescents and youth um, in regard to depression, anxiety. And the title, I Am Not Okay, refers back to the suicide attempts and how depression and anxiety can have a impact on this. So, looking at our first slide, so depression and bipolar disorders are the most treatable psychological disorders. Depression is a low, sad state in which life seems dark and its challenges are overwhelming. People with depressive disorders suffer only from depression, a pattern called unipolar depression. So essentially, mood problems have always captured people's interest. The Bible speaks of severe depression of Saul, Moses, Queen Victoria of England, and Abraham Lincoln also suffered from recurring depression. Depression is something that is not anything new. It's not anything that we don't have a cure for. It's just something that's ongoing and untreated can lead to hard consequences on children. So the treatment, psychodynamic therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, antidepressant drugs, and biological approaches. So for this, antidepressant drugs broken up into 3 different categories: oxidase inhibitors, tricyclics, and newer version of second-generation antidepressants. Antidepressants medications continue to come on. A few of them would be like trazodone, fluoxetine, sertraline, paroxetine, venlafaxine, and the list could just essentially go on and on. Biological approaches is looking more at the genetic way of things, knowing how to change the lifestyle, exercise and dietary supplements, exercising and eating healthy herbal supplements and nutrients, to just learn how to cope with this a little bit better. So when you ask an adolescent or a teen, a young adult, or anything like that, we never really realize how it is that they're feeling or what their cues are just completely off. So when you ask them, how are you? Typically the response is okay or fine. Fine can mean a lot of things. This adolescent could be confused, betrayed, useless, broken, doesn't feel like he's good enough. He's fragile, anxious, falling apart, and no one even notices. Rejected, annoying, lonely, pathetic, and defeated. These are just some of the more common things that that an adolescent could be feeling. So now going into anxiety. Anxiety is a disorder marked by persistent and excessive feeling of anxiety and worried about a number of events and activities, feeling edgy, fatigued, a poor concentration, you're irritable and you can't fall asleep. Race and ethnicity and gender can affect the precise picture of an anxiety disorder. When anxiety hits an adolescent, there's enough anxiety in their life that comes on with school, physical changes, trying to fit in, making new friends, that having the condition of anxiety itself makes things a lot more difficult for these children. So the treatment for this, as well as cognitive therapies, biological approaches, counseling, and medication management. Fortunately, there are medications that can help anxiety, but there's nothing like talking to someone and expressing yourself, letting them know what you're worried about, what your worries are, what your fears are, to just let it all out and feel like you've opened up yourself and you are content and happy again. So interesting enough, here in my next slide, Depression and anxiety. I know most of you that are parents have seen or heard of the movie Inside Out that came out several years ago. So, in this movie, it's a cartoon movie. It's a young girl, five basic emotions: fear, joy, sadness, disgust, and anger come to live and guide her in every behavior. Like people with this disorder, she's always looking for potential catastrophes, evaluating possible dangers. She's always worried about something bad is going to happen. She's worried because she's worrying so much, a mindset that leads to continuous worrying and tension. So this movie is great for, this teenage adolescent group because they understand the theory of it. When you show a 5-year-old this movie, it's, oh, they're worried. Okay. But it's not until they get into this older age. So, looking at the big picture, my big picture is untreated anxiety and depression in teens, young adolescents has a big impact on their life. This is a long-term effect. Mental disorders, abusive or repressive environments that lead to suicide attempts, that lead to thinking that they are not wanted here, that they don't belong in this world anymore. So, suicide, people with major depressive disorders often have suicidal thoughts. Severe depression also may play a role in suicide attempts. Suicide attempts may also be preceded by shifts in patterns of thinking they are not good enough, that they do not belong here. Anxiety and depression untreated are the common things that happens when a child decides to take their life because they are not meant to be here. So my last slide is references. Comer and Comer, I used a lot of our text, Abnormal Psychology, and Pixar's Inside Out was for my picture, and Is There Such Thing as Part-Time Depression was my first picture. Please give me feedback. Let me know if there's any questions and thoughts or concerns. Thank you so much, guys.